Thanks very much for sending me your work again, Hannah. That's fantastic. I'll just open it up and we can probably notice now that it's actually opening up in OpenOffice because I've got my own copy of that now. So we're working on the same basis. This is going to be very quick feedback because obviously you're doing really well. I can see you've got the shortcuts. They're worth remembering because obviously they run across all the Office packages, and sensibly they've done the same thing with OpenOffice, which is great. I could see that you're making comments here that tell me what you've done. Wonderful. And I can see that count B is the only thing that didn't kind of work for you here, and that I think is because count B is not part of this package. It's simply just not there. So if we look for count, so yeah, when you look through here, count is there, count A isn't, so count B doesn't exist within this spreadsheet. Count If is quite a useful one, which we can have a look at another time. That's really quite useful, but we'll stop there. I know here you're saying that Google Sheets will predict the formulas as well. So I think it did have a count B function, which OpenOffice doesn't have. So well done. You're seeing the differences between different applications, like the use of a pie chart here, and it's clear that you've mastered this. This is exactly what I meant. I think what we're talking about in terms of displaying things in a way that is clear to me. Right, it's kind of obvious, fairly obvious what you've done. I agree it is. And here I can see you've done some things where you've altered the values. So really chuffed with what you've done there, Hannah. That's brilliant. Okay, Hannah, so what I want to do today is record some movies that support you with what we're going to do next. The place where we're going to go next, if you go to the BCS syllabus, I've actually copied the BCS syllabus, created my own table of information within Evernote. And what we're going to do is look at this section today. So, but rather than just going through it in a skills sort of basis, what I'm going to ask you to do for your the exercises that support this today is to take some screenshots to show some of the basic things here, which I think are going to be kind of straightforward. I'll just sort of take you through one or two of these, but I'm going to have a little bit of a deeper dive into file types and different places where we can save our spreadsheet to, and we're going to see if we can find a CSV file online which we can actually use and do something useful with. So without further ado, I'm going to start off by going into OpenOffice and creating a brand new spreadsheet. And the first thing I wanted you to know is that in order to close this spreadsheet, quite a lot of people will just go up to this the close button at the top. I know it's slightly different on Windows, but they will go up there and close it. A much better way of doing this is to go to File and to go to Close. That is a much better way. That way you actually close the whole application down. If you just go here and close it there, the application actually stays open. If I say don't save, discard, you can see the application is still open. If I go to File and New, now if I want to open a new file, I can go to File and New, and I can open a new spreadsheet, something you've done over and over again. And if I go File and New Spreadsheet, I've got two spreadsheets and maybe even three spreadsheets open, and I can change between the different spreadsheets by moving between them like this. I'll go back to the one that you sent me and open to those others that I've done today. Fairly basic skills, but useful to be able to do. The next thing you're supposed to be able to do is actually open up a template. If you go to File and New, and go to templates and documents and have a look within this. The templates that exist within here at the moment, they're built into them, aren't very good. They seem to be built in for using kind of the PowerPoint version of OpenOffice here, which is not what I wanted to do. If you go down to the bottom, you should be able to get a link, get more templates online. Go to the templates here and pick something that's quite useful. There's one that I saw earlier. If I type in spreadsheet here to narrow it down a bit, and we've got something which is, I'll spell it right, something which is a personal budget spreadsheet. When you open this up, you can see it's quite a complicated spreadsheet, so I'm going to just download it and then open it. I have actually opened up a version, downloaded this before, so I'm going to go to my download folder and I can see we've got this budget template. When I open this, you can see it's quite a sophisticated spreadsheet. Again, it's all based on one sheet, nothing going over to another tabs at the moment, but a lot of work has been done for us, and you can see the advantage of you building a spreadsheet using one where you're building it from a template because it's just already there for you. So one of the exercises I've set you today is to actually download a template, search and download a template like that, and make some changes to it. You can just put some numbers in or whatever, just so that you show me that you've interacted with it. Next thing I want to do is to go back to a spreadsheet, open a spreadsheet which I've been working on. If I go to recent documents, I know I've got this file and open. A very simple spreadsheet, I think it's called. There we go. So on this particular spreadsheet, you can see it's basically people's names, and I've used the average function to work out the average of people's names. Now, one of the things you've already discovered from this, I'm sure, is by going to OpenOffice, you can go to File and Save As, and you can save it with a different file extension. Yours probably gets automatically saved into your document folder. Again, this will look slightly different on Windows, but you should be fairly familiar with the navigation system there, so I'm not going to labour that. But you can actually choose the type of file that you want, whether it's the files that you've been sending to me. It's quite often they've had the XLS file extension, which you can actually choose, obviously, from this menu here. I want to save it as an XLS file. But one of the other files that you can actually, other type that you can save is a CSV file. CSV stands for comma separated variable, and quite often this is a very useful way of sending data around. It hasn't got the full structure of a spreadsheet, but it's actually each word separated by a comma. So if I save this one as a CSV and just have a quick glance at it as a CSV file, so I can find it, save it into my document. I'm actually going to save it into a folder I've set up for you, test as a CSV file, and I'm going to keep the current format so it doesn't change it back, and say OK. When I go into your folder now, which is here, saved, test as a CSV, just open that up. Open with, I'm open it up with a Notes app so you can actually see it a little bit different. Import note. You see, it's just come over as a file which has got name, then a comma, then age, Sam, comma, 23. So the comma is actually separating each of the variables, each of the pieces of data within this file. That's what a comma separated variable is. So I can add more data to this. So I can add things like that. Let's get it right. 64. So I can actually add other names for this. I can put the data in a different order if I wanted to. And these sort of files are really useful for bringing back into Excel. So that's a comma separated variable. I'm going to work with those again in a little bit more, a little bit later. I'm going to work with that again. The next thing I want to show you is you can actually save this thing to a different places. At the moment I've been saving all the files locally, and by locally I mean to my own computer. I've also got, I don't know if you've got one of these, you're very useful to have, which is a Dropbox account, and I can save my things up into the cloud. That's my version of using the Dropbox file. So I can go to this, or go to File and Save As. Instead of saving locally onto my documents, I can actually choose Dropbox and actually save it into the cloud. So this is saved on Dropbox. That goes there. Okay, really useful saving information in other places when I'm roving around the country and things like that. Armed with that fantastic information about CSV files, what you can actually do, Hannah, is go looking for that particular file extension. So if you went looking for example, something I've done to set this up, if you type in names.csv, you can go for US baby name CSV. There's a site that I've discovered called US baby names Kaggle, and on this particular website you can download data sets. Now I've signed up for this, so you can do this if you want, but I'll save you the trouble. So I'm downloading a data set which I've already got on my machine in my download. So I'm going to go to my downloads and just have a quick look at it. This particular data set is actually called National Names CSV file. And what this is, it's a record of all the names that people have called their babies going back into the 1800s, and I've imported it here into the spreadsheet to be able to use that. The process of importing it is quite a lengthy one, but what I want you to do is to I'll just show you quickly how you do that. So if you go to File and Open, and you would point it at the CSV file, national names, click on Open. When you first do this, you can actually see the data is actually going to be pulled in. If I just left it, it would just be pulled in like this, where all the data is actually going to be pulled into the first column. Now, because this is a CSV file, I know the data is separated by a comma, and as soon as I click on the comma there, you'll actually see all of this data gets separated out into separate columns. So click on comma and you can see it's all been separated. This massive data set has got the name and the year. Mary in 1880, Mary, there were 765 people registered with that name. Similarly, if I scroll down a bit, in 1880 the name Butler was registered by 8 people for their sons. Similarly, if I go down to in 1881, Melissa, 16 people were called Melissa, and so it goes on. Now I'm going to set you some challenges with this data, because clearly you can do all sorts with it. So that's the third part of this exercise. Right, I'll finish there.